Long Gone, A Guide to Salt Lake City. AeroPress Square at 149th Southwest Temple always sounded like it should have been home to a gumshoe-style investigatory newspaper. Built in 1908 as the Hotel Albert, by 2004 it looked its age and was home to a barrage of lowbrow businesses like the infamous Dead Goat Saloon and all-ages club Lo-Fi Cafe. The mix of a sexually oriented business and under-18 crowd was always interesting. Walking to AeroPress felt like seeing your really cool older cousin who was allowed to wear lipstick and call boys on the phone. My crowd hung out in the parking lot, sipping Pabst while mingling with the cabaret girls working at the saloon. Being 19 felt stifling, restrictive, and unfair. Lo-Fi leveled the playing field and gave us that dose of urban nightlife that we so desperately wanted. Situated between a parking garage and the saloon made it feel salacious and dangerous. A few months before its demolition, it was the site of pyrotechnics for a Steven Seagal film. The teardown officially began on December 1st, 2015, and as of today, the space is being used as a private parking lot. Already a monument to the city well before 1983, when it became Utah's first children's museum. In the 1840s, the site was simply known as Wasatch Springs Plunge, a warm springs that was frequented by the Ute, Paiute, and Shoshone Native Americans that soaked in the pools prior to the arrival of Mormon settlers in 1847. By the 1970s, the popularity of the pools began to dwindle, and Wasatch Springs Plunge shut its doors to the public. In 1983, after extensive renovations, the gorgeous mission-style building reopened, this time as the Utah Children's Museum. 30 years later, the building once again closed its doors, a casualty of the booming construction of the Gateway Mall, an outdoor shopping center that included a new children's museum called Discovery Gateway. In pondering the magnetism of this location, we must acknowledge that it has been a relevant site for almost 200 years. The remnants of memories and childhood experiences are kept locked tight behind its glass windows. Peeking through reveals the ghostly outline of abandoned exhibits and the desiccated corpses of birds who somehow become trapped in the entryway. The museum is listed on the National Register of Historic Places, but sits empty, used only for its tennis courts. Some say the building sits on a fault, and one tectonic tremble will leave it in ruins. The City Weekly recently ran a story citing the roof is ready to give at any minute. These days, the museum is part tomb to childhood curiosity and part metaphor for forgotten dreams. It's simply sitting and waiting, unused for its original purpose, and yet unable to be repaired in a financially responsible way that would make it relevant once again. For now, the building is held in reserve, quiet and abandoned, on the east side of Beck Street. The best keeper of Salt Lake City's memories are that of the mountains and canyons that surround her. Before the tracks embroidered its pathways into the heart of the city, before streets were paved, before ox carts pulled goods down the dirt road of State Street, before Brigham Young reached the end of Emigration Canyon and proclaimed that this is the place, well before the Ute and Paiute settled here, and even before that so many generations back before recorded time, when ceratopsians and sauropods roamed here. Even before all of that, Salt Lake City lay at the bottom of a prehistoric lake that covered it and was held in by the mountains. Our landscape has undoubtedly changed and will continue to do so in time with progress and expansion. I have chronicled a slight few bits of its past that is now gone. The goal of this project was to create a workable space where the lost buildings and spaces of Salt Lake City can be placed, and therefore archived on a map in its original position. This urban anthropology feels emotional to me. This city feels alive. There is a layering that happens in the city over time. I want to make sure the underlayer isn't forgotten. My hope is that somebody's future recollection of a place includes all of those places that came before it, but leaves room for the places that will come after. Only then will these spaces not truly be considered long gone.